Zoom and on YouTube, and welcome to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax, established in 1837. My name is Jessica Friesen, your music director and coordinator for our summer services. Today we'll hear from Reverend Beckett from Kingston Unitarian Fellowship. The summer is now coming to an end, and our minister, Reverend Norm Harasher, will be back on September 12th. So our service next Sunday will be the last one I'm assisting with, and it'll feature Reverend Julie Stoneberg from the Peterborough congregation. Julie was a member of the CUC study group on dismantling racism, and that group recommended the following wording for the new 8th principle. We, the member congregations of the Canadian Unitarian Council, covenant to affirm and promote individual and communal action that accountably dismantles racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. We will be studying the proposal in preparation for a national meeting in November. So this is an excellent opportunity to hear some of the background that led to this proposal. And the sermon is titled, The 8th Principle, What It Means and Why It Matters. So please tune in next week for that. Marie-Claude Leroux is our Director of Religious Exploration. She will resume her role in September, and Paul Galbraith is our volunteer technician. Marilyn Chenier is our service assistant today. Thank you, Marilyn. So during the service today, the chat function will be open, and I invite you to extend our hospitality by saying hello to anyone that you do not recognize, or by leaving a message for us. If you are not already receiving notifications from our church and you would like to receive updates on our activities and services, please send an email to me at jessicafriesen876@gmail.com. Our wonderful flowers are also from Mike Belland, who takes care of our garden. So the order of service today was sent out yesterday through UUinfo. And like always, our first announcement is please contact Margaret Galbraith if you would like to attend a Sunday service. Her phone number and email are in the directory and on your order of service. Due to the new board will resume monthly meetings, but it's TBD, so stay tuned for that. And the Saturday brunch will start up again for September 11th. Weekly bag lunch preparations start Friday, September 10th, and new volunteers are welcome. So contact Pat Anthony for more information. And Parker Street Food Bank has been very generous to our brunches, so please support them if you are able to do so. Thank you to Edda Pam for putting the September newsletter together, which has been sent through UUinfo. And our final announcement is another reminder that the in-gathering service is on September 12th, in 2 weeks, marking the beginning of a new church year. So we're celebrating with a blending of water service. Everyone is going to collect a small amount of water that is meaningful to you. So from the lake, the beach, you swim at, just your tap at home, it doesn't matter. And I know we're going to have some people over the internet, so still just bring your little cup of water. It is symbolizing our creation of community from a diversity of backgrounds. So I will be doing our prelude, and it's actually in the teal hymnal. And I'm going to turn up our piano here to see if the microphone can catch it. And now Marilyn will read our offertory.
Or maybe not. I think it is safe to say that our COVID restrictions are nearly over. And I, for one, can't wait to get back together in the church where I can see all your beautiful faces in person again. I also can't wait for the day that we can pass the collection plate again, even if that means I have to spend my Sunday afternoons rolling coins. Because reading our offertory words during Zoom services hasn't had a whole lot of effect, especially during this second year of the pandemic. Maybe that's because most of the people who tune in are automatic monthly donors, or maybe it's because we dropped our Share the Plate initiative during this time. Our Saturday brunch is starting up again in just a couple of weeks and could really use your support. If you are able to contribute, please send your donation by e-transfer to treasurer@uuch.ca or by check mailed to the church. The details will appear on the screen.
Thank you, Marilyn. So I will now light our chalice, and I invite you to light your own candle or chalice at home. Marilyn, would you please read our chalice lighting words?
These words are by Jennifer Grayson, Drawn Together. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods, yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together matters. We light this chalice in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world.
So now let's sing together, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of meeting. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. The words will be on your screen. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. See that one more time. The next slide will have the words for you. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Saltwood will now speak on land and reconciliation.
Thank you, Jessica. It is our practice whenever we gather as Universalist Unitarian Church community to acknowledge that we are meeting on the unceded ancestral lands of Mi'kma'ki, the home of the Micmac people. We seek through our truth, healing, and reconciliation process to give meaning to our acknowledgement. We continue to uncover the disturbing truth about how the settlers to this land have betrayed and deeply wounded our first peoples through the injustices of broken promises, discrimination, and violence. A story in Monday's Chronicle Herald about Dee Dee Austin, a Micmac singer-songwriter, captured my attention. She is from Fall River, Nova Scotia, and has been singing since aged 10 Now at 15 years of age, Dee Dee is making notable strides on the East Coast music scene with a recent release of her debut EP, Stepping Stones. The article also chronicles her connection with Andrew Curry, a close UUCH friend who lives in Waikagamma. She is a product of her church community and Indigenous heritage. She drew inspiration from her great-grandmother's experience as a residential school survivor when she wrote the lyrics to her song, Buried Truth. This, by the way, was played at 8:15 this morning on Weekend Morning, CBC's Weekend Morning. These are the essential parts of the lyric. They scrubbed our skin with wire brush. They broke the boundaries of all trust. Forget the language our parents taught us, because when they're done, you won't know yourself. They cut our hair. They scarred our skin. They tried to break the child within. Our hearts, they ached with pain so hard to bear as we longed for our parents' loving care. No love was shown, no kindness there. Our unearned shame and tears of fear. Hardwood floors laid bare throughout this place. The workers there, oh, what a disgrace. They were attempting to wipe out our whole race. Feelings of anger, grief, and shame. An open grave reveals the hidden past. Buried truth revealed at last. The lyrics in Buried Truth lay bare the emotional carnage created by the residential schools. They also challenged us to work with our Indigenous brothers and sisters to find a path to healing and reconciliation at all levels of our society, national governance, social and cultural institutions, and in our individual lives. Let us find a way to make this so. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. This is a sacred time in our service, a time set apart to honor the many sorrow and the many joys that you, the congregation, are living, and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. Today, Margaret will help me. Margaret will light one candle for all those who are here with us in our thoughts, who are mentally, physically, financially, or emotionally. And we will also light one candle for all the joys that are in the room. The big joys that come along only infrequently, and the little joys that we are blessed by every day if we are able to see them. We are also going to light a candle for the people of Louisiana. There is a hurricane. And actually, we should also light a candle for Afghanistan. We really should. There's always trouble in the world and problems everywhere, but let's recognize that. Thank you, Margaret. Later, when we stop the live streaming on YouTube and before the coffee hour begins, I will invite anyone else to share a joy or sorrow and have a candle lit, if they would like to do so. Comfort me, 1002. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my May the joys and sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric of community. So now I am happy to introduce Reverend Beckett Coppola from the Kingston Unitarian Fellowship. Her reflection is called The Second Attempt. So please enjoy.
Good morning and welcome to the Kingston Unitarian Fellowship Weekly Message. The message today is called The Second Attempt. And I'll start by telling a story. On Saturday, the 10th of May, 2014, a few close family and friends gathered with me in my apartment in Boulder, Colorado for lunch before we all headed off to my afternoon graduation ceremony. When we arrived at the large auditorium at the University of Colorado, which Naropa rented every May for graduation, we found ourselves navigating all of the event details of parking and lines and tickets, this time made bigger by the presence of a celebrity. Well, a celebrity among Buddhist and meditation teachers anyways. My guests were able to head into the auditorium and find seats for themselves, but the other graduates and I were lined up in the exceptionally hot basement corridors. Eventually, we were filed into the auditorium, coordinated into our carefully numbered seats, and the ceremony began. The room was packed. In reality, the room was overpacked because there were people standing along the walls. The many doors to the auditorium were open to the outdoors to help with the heat, and through them you could see people gathered outside, everyone trying to listen while inconspicuously peeping into the room. You see, for that year, 2014, our commencement speaker was the Buddhist teacher, Pema Chodron. If you don't know her name, I will simply say that she's one of the best known Buddhist teachers in the world right now, and you might enjoy looking at one or two of her talks online. My good luck was graduating with a Master of Divinity the same year as her granddaughter completed the undergraduate program at Naropa University. Serendipity in action. When it was her turn to speak, the diminutive and elderly nun walked to the podium, stepped onto a small riser, and began to talk quite casually. And she had us laughing and clapping, and slowly she drew us in with her, moment by moment. Now, a few minutes into this particular talk, which was to be a great deal shorter than her usual, at only 20 minutes, she shared a quote from Samuel Beckett. Now, if you go online and listen to the address, you'll hear that immediately after she says Beckett's name, there are 2 or 3 people in the audience who clap as loudly as they can, which she jokes about because obviously she was not expecting applause after mentioning the name Samuel Beckett. One of those sets of clapping hands was definitely me. And another was most likely my mom. You see, I was named for Samuel Beckett, or more accurately, nicknamed for him. And as a result of that fact, I have always had a soft spot for the existentialists' blunt realism, their bleak sharpness, and in Beckett's case, the minimalist and absurdist use of word. The quote that Ani Pema then paraphrased from him was this: fail, fail again, fail better. This is one of my favorite quotes from the Irish playwright I was named for, partly because of how it pokes at cultural conditioning around shame and blame, as well as tearing at our ideas of failure. And most likely because it's something that I, one who will always and forevermore be a recovering perfectionist, I need to hear repeatedly. She then says, if there's one skill that's not stressed very much, but is really needed, it's learning how to fail. We don't get a lot of preparation to have things not work out the way we want in our lives. What is too often interpreted by ourselves and others as failure. Ani Pema talked about the end of her 2 marriages and about other things that could be seen by others outside of her life as failure. And yet her life brought her to deep spiritual practices that continue to work within her and make her life better every day. One of the benefits of spiritual practice is that it prepares us to be in the present moment, to sit without fighting the current moment. The many varieties of practice give us the resilience and the perspective to keep moving forward through our one wild and precious life, to invoke Mary Oliver. A resilience and perspective that lift us out of being frozen by shame, by blame, and the incredible pain of feeling that we are defined by failures, mistakes, or defeats. Practices that can include writing and meditating and yoga and coming to Sunday service and so much more. So how do we get to the place where an individual failure or mistake or mishap or lost opportunity doesn't become how we define ourselves, doesn't become attached to our understanding of identity? Cognitively, we can know that our failures do not define who or what we are. My failures do not define who or what I am. I know this, but for some reason I don't always believe it. My failed relationships don't make me a failure. My stumbles in livelihoods that led me here are not failures in business. The 2 C's of my undergraduate career, and yes, I looked that up just to make sure I was exactly right. The 2 C's I got when I was an undergrad were not failures. Being laid off in the middle of a recession was not a failure. It does not make me a failure. None of these life events define me. They are not my identity, and they should not impact my understanding of myself. And it took me time to get through each of them, to get to this understanding, because I have internalized this idea of failure as being a terminus, rather than a passage through. In her talk, Ani Pema also paraphrased a quote from James Joyce: "Mistakes are the portal to creativity." Mistakes can be the passage through. And so I engage with practices and I persevere, and I'm always looking for the portal to creativity and learning through the curricula of my life. My failed careers led me to this work with you. My failed relationships released me into a life I could not have dreamed of for myself. My C's, my failures academically, helped me understand what I did and didn't want to do with my time. Being laid off allowed me space to go wandering in search of my soul, only to find myself in divinity school in Boulder, Colorado, a long ways from my hometown of Boston. Now, there's a great deal more in Ani Pema's talk, and I do commend it to you. It's easily found online.
I've chosen to do the interview. I Have Seen the Rain. It is by a father and daughter, very famous pop star Pink, and her father, Jim Moore. He had been in the Vietnam War, and I thought this fit very well with her topic on failures. Just getting the song out right now. We've seen the rain together, and we've survived the pain forever. I've seen the rain. I have felt the pain. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. Oh, I don't know where I'm going. I don't even know where I've been. But I know I'd like to escape. Spend my days just searching. Spend my nights in grief. Stop looking over my shoulder, baby. I stop wondering what it means. Drop out, burn out, soldier on. Oh, they said I should have been more. Probably so if I hadn't been in that crazy damn Vietnam War. I have seen the rain. I survived the pain. Oh, I've been home 3 years or so, and I'm just stepping off of the plane. Spend my days just searching. Spend my nights in pain. Stop looking over my shoulder, baby. Oh, I'll stop wondering what it means. Drop out, burn out, soldier, oh. They said I could have been more. Probably so if I hadn't been in that crazy damn Vietnam War. We have seen the rain together. We survived the pain forever. And oh, it's good to be home again. It's good to be my friend. Oh, it's good to be home again. It's good to feel that way. And now Reverend Beckett will finish your reflection.
Ultimately, where this talk took me as I listened to it again this week, and as I explore the idea of renewal within Unitarian Universalism, is this. A failure may be a lack of success, or a mistake, or a moment where you simply missed the mark. Holding the bow out before you and drawing the bowstring back with an arrow carefully notched and aimed, only to release and have it miss the target. By the way, this is the literal translation of the Hebrew chret, to miss the mark, the word translated into English as sin. So I'm going to repeat that again for those of you who've not heard this before from me or anybody else. Sin, the idea, is simply missing the mark. Simply missing the mark. Not hitting the target. That's it. And at that point, ideally, you pick up another arrow and you notch and you aim and you pull the bowstring back and you release again. Our culture has grossly misinterpreted the term hurt and has turned what could have been a beautiful teaching tool into a tool for mistreating ourselves and mistreating others. A culture dedicated to shame and blame and retribution as means of power and control is going to have a very hard time letting go of the idea that power and control are just illusions. Within Unitarian Universalism, we look to the world's wisdom traditions for guidance, just like this. This includes the wisdom traditions that are found in our immediate history, including 2 of the Christian heresies, thank you very much, and ultimately, the Abrahamic traditions from whence they arose. How different could our world be if we were to understand sin as simply missing the mark, an opportunity to begin again, perhaps a portal to creativity? The full quote that Anipema paraphrased from Beckett came from his 1983 prose poem, Worst Word Ho. The full quote, ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better. The full quote, extracted from its existentialist poetic context, is a fabulous teaching tool. And teaching, there is a ridiculousness in the contemporary use of the word fail. And that's where Beckett is pushing us to go. Beckett is compelling us to open the portal to creativity, to try again, to make the next failure even more spectacular. Ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better. Granted, he's offering us this wisdom within a linguistically desolate and plotless frame, exploring the suffering of human existence. But the intentional use of a word that would cause shock to his reader is important to note. How often do you hear someone say, fail again, fail better? Aside from Beckett, I had never heard it until I was sitting in an auditorium for my commencement at Naropa, thanks to the theme of Anipema's talk, an address which eventually became her next book, something she certainly wasn't expecting, nor were any of we. And isn't that how life unfolds? We step out and we have no idea whether or not what we are about to do will succeed. But if we know that we are willing to give ourselves permission to simply try, that the people around us are willing to cheer us on and give us permission to simply try, everything changes. We can start again and try again and return again until we have failed better. Or perhaps even succeeded, whatever that means. Imagine what the world might look like if this was our cultural norm. Imagine what kind of change, what kind of promise, what kind of hope would surround us if we created a culture where this was common. What kind of hope can we offer to each other right here, to ourselves right now, and to the entire world from within the roots of our free faith? When we miss the mark, we try again, and we will accept each attempt as it is. A culture where our work does not need to be perfect, and where we could instead focus on living authentically and wholeheartedly without worrying that we will be defined by our failures, by ourselves or anyone else, would benefit us all and take us one step closer to the world we want to help build. the world we are helping to build. As I wrote in today's meditation, be curious about who you are, love how you are in the world. May we all find our way to living authentically, to living wholeheartedly, and to a life free from being defined by what others might call failure. May we all have permission today and in all days to pass through the portal to creativity and try again. And may we extend compassion, understanding, and forgiveness to one another, remembering always to remake our promises and renew our commitments at the close of every day. Hari Om Shanti Shalom, peace. Blessed be.
So we're going to end on a fun little song. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Sing along with me. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. There must be a God somewhere. And now let's do it a little faster. Ready? Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Singing. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I hear lightness in the air. Over my head, I hear lightness in the air. Over my head, I feel lightness in the air. There must be a God somewhere. It's easier to sing loud than to speak loud. I should have done the whole service just singing. Thank you to all who attended. It could have been an opera or a musical. But yes, thank you to all who attended here in the sanctuary, and we will extinguish the chalice. I just drew a blank. Marilyn, will you please read the word?
When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of our lives and sharing it with the world.
Thank you, Marilyn. So thank you all who attended here in the sanctuary, Zoom, by YouTube, and I will say goodbye to those who joined us on YouTube now as we end our live streaming. For those who joined by Zoom, in a few minutes, we will return to sharing joys and sorrows, followed by our virtual coffee hour. So the streaming service will now end.